Good afternoon, everybody. It's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Deck, and I'm here today with Ron Thurston.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Bob. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Absolutely. Let's make this a little bigger. All right, then.
Great.
So
Great.
we're live from upstate New York from me, and literally all the way across the country. Now, where are you today, Ron?
Couldn't be further. Phoenix. So we arrived in Phoenix last night with some
Nice.
coming to you live from the Airstream here.
There you go. And we'll get into
Yes.
that in just a second. And by the way, if you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, please put in the comments where you're watching from and let us know. Get in a dialogue with us, because this is all about a dialogue that Ron and I started just a few days ago, that we were so upset with the narrative of, well, maybe you can fill us in, Ron. First off, tell us who you are and what you're doing out there in an Airstream.
Yeah, I'd love to, Bob. So, yeah, my name is Ron Thurston. I am longtime retail executive, worked my way up from store sales, store manager, district manager, head of stores. Wrote a book that came out in 2020 called Retail Pride: The Guide to Celebrating Your Accidental Career, which became an Amazon bestseller. And 2 years later, here I am on tour across the country. The tour is called Retail in America. It's also the name of my podcast. And I have the pleasure of traveling in an Airstream trailer as my new home, our new home, my husband and myself, to meet retailers, meet people in stores, meet founders, leaders, multi-store leaders. I've met the most incredible people all across the country. We left New York City at the beginning of April of this year and have been on the road ever since. Love this life. Love, you roll into a new RV park like we did here in Phoenix. You have new neighbors on your left and your right. You're meeting America. You're meeting people where they are. And I think having those conversations with strangers every day is what we do so well in retail. That's our job. But it's also, for me, a way of life now, because my neighbors are different every day. And that is a kind of just a powerful way to think about how we engage with the world. And
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
such a joy to do this.
Yeah, I hate you. So, and you're getting a new Airstream, even bigger, 33 foot. Isn't that a big step?
I did. We love this so much. It's like we're gonna keep the tour going well
Nice.
into 2023.
Nice. Well, we're
Yeah.
talking today. It's before Thanksgiving, and the four stories you're going to hear is retailers are worried. We're going to hear on Friday, oh, no one showed up. Black Friday a bust. Monday, oh, will online save it? Tuesday, no, online a bust. Retailers are worried. What kind of effect does that have on retail teams, Ron, with that just this one big gray blanket that's
Yeah.
put across? Does it affect teams, you think?
In some ways, Bob, I think the retail is such an overwhelming, immersive experience when you work in stores. And I say that meaning, as someone who spent every Black Friday, for the last 30 years in stores, every Christmas Eve, every holiday I was in stores, you don't have as much time to worry about the news that you and I sit and read so much about. They're so consumed with running their own four walls. And so part of that gives me relief that they're not reading or have time to read all the headlines every day about which brands are winning, which brands are losing, what the numbers are, what people are saying, both in social media and in general, big um, kind of institutions like the New York Times. It's better to say, in my opinion, I, as a leader of my own walls in this building of this holiday season of 2022, I'm going to deliver the most exceptional customer and team experience I can. And with the product that I have, and the resources and the technology that I have today, I'm in control of my own destiny. And if you let the news overwhelm you, or the storytelling of what people think about you, it distracts you from what you can actually do. And the best people I meet in the field are those that are absolutely in love with this business, as we all are, because it's so emotional and it's so engaging and it's so much fun and it's so entrepreneurial. I mean, the words, there's endless amounts of words to describe our industry. And if you do that every day and you created an environment where your team thrives, number one, you don't have a hiring problem. You have incredible customer experience. You're probably delivering the best results in your company. You're doing all of that. You're winning. And that's what
Absolutely.
great retail people do.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
I know, when I've been traveling around and even starting in, I think, August, I just saw malls were full. And I kept
Yeah.
reading these articles like, you'd think we were back in the lockdown days. Like, no, it'll be going to the mall. I saw somebody was like, this is the death knell of all retail this holiday season when no one goes in. And I'm like, have you like gotten in your car and looked? Because there's no parking places on a Wednesday. I think you and I were sharing. I was
Yep.
at Seattle in Nordstrom's flagship store. There are 5 guys getting suits on a Wednesday afternoon at 4:30,
Yeah.
and they're telling me how yes, they were glad when their guys came back who would just want to get a new jacket for an event, but now they're refreshing their wardrobes and they're coming back as
Yeah.
before. So, what are you seeing out there? You've been literally all across the country in the last six
I
to eight months.
I have. I would say the last 60 days particularly, I've been very focused on the mall because that is where all the action often happens in our industry. And so as I've toured kind of from Labor Day till today, have been on the West Coast and have been in every major mall from Seattle to San Diego, where I was yesterday. And it is high traffic, um, lots of shopping bags, lots of happy teams, lots of inventory, lots of everything. And so it's almost as if it felt like the last 2, 3 years didn't happen.
Yeah.
It literally feels like 2019 or earlier in the mall. And that gives me so much joy. I love that I couldn't find a parking place in Fashion Valley Mall in San Diego because there was so much traffic.
Dude, you had
I love,
30-foot traffic. You have a 30-foot trailer. Of course, you're not going to find it.
well, that stays home, but even the big black pickup truck is,
Oh,
could
okay. All
be
right. All
have its
right.
own challenges. But it is like it felt very energetic, very happy, it's and just engaged. And you're right. I think we have to recognize the fact that the customer is back, that we have in many ways kind of forced them to shop online, and now we're almost forcing them not to. And by things like not taking online returns or charging you for returns, charging you for shipping, things that we said during the pandemic, everyone had to do free shipping for returns. Every store became a drop-off center, and brands have recognized that that is a recipe for disaster, and that the store plays a very important part, which is not as a drop-off center, it's as a place to create experiences.
Well,
And
and
that
we're
the more
social creatures. That's the
we're
thing that,
social
yes,
creatures.
there are people. It was like I was on a panel, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and this woman was just going on about resale, how great resale is. And I'm like, really? You're advising like retailers on this? She's like, well, when I go into a store, I pull out my app, and if I see something, I go to my 4 shopping apps before I buy anything in retail. I'm like, why are you advising retailers who don't do that? I don't
Yeah.
understand it. That, yeah, I get it. There is a market for that. A lot of young people, it's a side hustle. There's a lot of great things about it. But make no mistake, there is still a significant amount of people who want to buy the new and the different,
Yeah.
and they're willing to treat themselves. And one of the challenges that we have, uh, I don't know what all that means. Someone saying my private Idaho photo on this site. I'm hoping that that's something we're not being spammed in here. But in any
Oh,
event, I
okay.
think the whole idea is that the danger is that with all of the glut of merchandise people didn't want being closed out, that the danger is that the crew can only sell what's on sale right now, And
Yeah,
so this really nice merchandise that has come in that probably is a better quality merchandise might be sitting there while employees who aren't really trained are selling from their own wallets. Like, this is a really good deal. It's 70% off. Probably is, but you don't need to pay them to do that, right? You need them to
correct.
be selling the stuff that's not on sale. So, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think I had the pleasure of touring the Fashion File headquarters in San Diego last week with the founder and CEO, and uh, the luxury side of this resale business is real, and I think it is about keeping product um, for its entirety of its life, because the quality of luxury handbags, shoes, jewelry is it they are meant to last a lifetime. Like they are very much of that genre, and resale actually helps extend the life or give multiple lives. Kind of like the 9 lives version of a Hermes handbag is real. And if you can give that joy and create that longevity, and that things don't end up, you know, in landfills, that's great. I think the resale version of fast fashion is just building on top of bad behavior. And so you buy it, then you sell it, then you have to, and then you ship it again. So you add more damage to the environment. And then someone else buys it for $5 and it probably ends up in the trash. So there's this terrible cycle of inexpensive product that shouldn't, we know it's going to be purchased. I can't say it shouldn't be purchased, because it will. You see the
Shine. Yeah.
shine.
Yeah.
You see that coming, and so there's very much a demand for that product. But then reselling it again just makes it, in my opinion, just worse. And so how do we minimize some of the damage we do? And that is, that we throw away on average as Americans 70 pounds of clothing a year that ends
Why
up
can't
in
I throw 70
landfills.
pounds of my weight away? That's what I want to know. Why can't I just, like, I'm done with it.
Just done. Just throw it out. Uh, it's a strange time, but resale, I think different rules apply to different categories, and some of it I'm very, very much for, and some of it I think we need to stop.
People in the stores, I don't know, maybe I'm just hitting them differently, but it seems like people's attitude are they're actually engaging with people again,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're anxious to help. And even those who I see don't have any training, like, I give, hint, hint, you can see that the interest is there again. Where I think the
Yes.
last 2 years there was this kind of a standoffishness, whether it was, the battle scars of dealing with masks and all of that, or
Mhm.
fear that they could catch something. But I think that willingness, if we don't harvest it, gets people frustrated, right? I mean, what kind of
Yes.
things frustrate a retail crew, um, that you notice when you're out
Yeah.
there?
I think you're right. It's this. You have these millions of people who have dedicated their life to service, and that the hardest thing all of us faced over the last 2 years was not being able to engage. We're natural. If you love retail, you love to talk to strangers, you love to engage, you love to drive sales, you love to work in the fitting room. And I worked in fashion most of my career. I spent all of my time in the fitting room, styling and adding on to the sale, and making people feel great. And when that is removed and the fitting rooms were closed, and said, well, take it home, try it on. If you don't like it, come back and see me. That it was so emotionally hard. And so now it's like, oh, I'm free. I have the ability to do all the things I love to do. And when we can do that, and not every customer wants to engage that way, but I see it more and more. So I think we do feel like we can embrace our strengths and do what we do really well. And then when you talk about the hiring challenges, I think those brands that have embraced this idea of celebrating the store for what the store does really well and hiring people who love to do what we do and take away some of that workload. So what happened is the extra workload of, filling orders from stores, sometimes curbside, sometimes online drop off, um, trying to flip a sale, all of that extra
Phone
work,
calls, dealing with moving
all the
merch,
extra phone
more
calls
tasks.
with a lot of chat functions and selling from the website to the store, some of which is really valuable, but some of it's just extra work. And when that investment hasn't been made in payroll, all of a sudden the workload has gone high, much higher than ever. We have the same number of people on the team. We're expected to deliver really great results, and the workload's really high. That's what I'm hearing very
Yeah,
consistently.
yeah. But the
And
trouble
so
with
it's
that is it's easy for me to manage tasks. I can say, Ron, go move those pants, go fill that, and someone can get lost
yeah,
in doing that. But
right.
when I go when I was in Godspell when I was in high school, and there was one of the parables of that is like no man can serve two masters. You either love the first and hate the second, or hate the
Mm,
whatever, hate the second and love the first. And I think that's perfectly true. That if you're going to teach someone, yeah, customers are important. Oh, we got to make their day. Oh, customers are everything. Oh, customers are amazing. Oh, okay, great. Now you need to go through and empty the trash, and you need to go through and do this and this and this and this. There's no way
yeah,
that people who like people are going to be comfortable doing that. So,
right.
it's kind of like when you open a new store, right? That first crew you have, you just pretty much know like they'll probably be gone in 90 days. Because let's face it, every day is exciting in a new store.
Yeah,
Yay! It's
yeah,
new people, yay! And after 90 days, they're kind of like, so is this it? Like, I'm just gonna stand here and wait around for people. Yeah, isn't that great? Like, yeah, I'm out. But
right.
that excitement should come from the stories that they tell when they meet people, I always think, versus no one's gonna get excited by I packed 5 orders this afternoon.
Right,
Right? So, what
right.
would be some tips that you could say, for somebody and I don't wanna take up your whole day because I know you're dying to get out there in the, balmy, Phoenix, weather where it's 20 degrees where I'm in upstate New York. What would be some
Oh
things that
gosh.
somebody could do if they're a manager watching this or an executive that you could do that might either lighten the load or refocus people into where they should be looking as we come into what's expected to be a great holiday season?
Great. It will be a great holiday season. No matter all things combined, it will be a great holiday season. And so I think some of that other news about the R word, as you mentioned last week, or like all of that, like let's have a great holiday season. Do your best, keep smiling. And I think to answer your question, Bob, it's store teams saying, I, I can't do it all. What can you take off of our plate for me to do this well? I think it's also hiring people with specific goals in mind. And I think in the past, we may have hired someone who was great at sales and could do store ops and could do visual merchandising, was great at the register, could do inventory. We look for those people that could do it all. But I would
They
actually
all
say
have
those people
jobs
are
now.
pretty right. And those people are pretty rare.
Right,
Instead,
right.
say like hire people who are really good at selling, but don't make those people spend 3 hours after you close folding down t-shirts. Those are the people that don't do inventory. Those so celebrate people's strengths and let them do what they do best. And there
And
are
vice versa.
people,
Don't
and
take
vice
the
versa.
person that really doesn't wanna talk to people and have to keep telling them, "Go wait on that customer." They're telling you, "I don't wanna do it," right? I mean,
Correct. So you hire people with specific goals and tasks in mind, and then you can pay them differently. You can celebrate their work differently. So it's not this one size, like I'm good at retail. I'm really good at operational efficiency and filling orders, and I can get through 30 people in the next 15 minutes at the register. Those people are amazing. But that person, if you say, well, I need you to go to the front of the store and greet everyone that comes in, are terrified and want to hide in the corner.
yeah.
So like you have to really, through great conversation, through coaching, through training, you figure out what people's strengths are and let them do that. And because if you ask someone to do something that you either didn't hire them for or they're not happy to do, they're the first ones to go on lunch break and not come back. It happens. I see it all the
You
time.
hear people say, "Oh, I'll take anyone who'll continue working," and they always think like, let's face it, it's easy to bash a generation. Oh, these entitled little, whippersnappers, get off my lawn. But you're
Right.
like, yeah, but what are you bringing to the table? I mean, admittedly, it's not like when I began in retail, it's like, shut up and do your job. That's not this world. However,
No.
on the other side, what are you doing to make it more like the people you need to have working with you instead of they need to conform to me? I think that's
Right.
generationally a problem. I think it's trouble with between all kinds of people and ages, etc. Is to be
Yeah.
thinking, okay, so I might have some sharp edges. What do I do to bring somebody else in that can help me with that, whatever that's going to be, right?
Correct. What and that's a great hiring manager who can do that, who asks the right question in the interview, and then delivers what they promised to the candidate of like, this is what it's like to work here. And you sell this story. And then they show up and it's actually not at all the fact. And so those leaders that can hire, train, like recruit, and then deliver on that experience you promised don't have hiring problems. And I think at the same time, your ability to identify those training opportunities is what keeps people in this industry. Because you say, oh, like Bob, there's something really special about you. There's something really unique about your skills. I'm going to give you this stretch assignment. I'm going to find additional training opportunities. I'm going to give you this extra responsibility. And that's what people love. And then that keeps you there. And then you're ready for more and you keep growing. But it takes great leaders who are invested in their brand. And I'll celebrate one because it's fresh in my mind. There are companies that do this very well. And so I think we also sometimes blanket the retail industry as being a terrible place to work. There was a woman who posted this morning, store manager, general manager of a Container Store, who wrote the
Container Store is
most
amazing, but anyway, go ahead.
generous. Yeah, they are, but it's consistent. And so she wrote the most generous post about, we're going into the holiday season and I can't wait to meet my customers and help them organize their homes and decorate their homes and welcome their families. And I love working at the Container Store. And I'm just sharing that as one example that there are brands that do this extraordinarily well. And if you do your homework and watch the people that post on LinkedIn or other forums of how much they love it, those are the people that need to be celebrated
Yeah.
because they're setting the standard for what everyone should do.
And
And
it's
I
genuine, right? I mean,
it's
that's
authentic. She had no reason to post it. It was two paragraphs, and it just happened to show up in my feed. I'm connected with this woman, and I'm like, those are stories I love, and we need. That's what I try to do with my podcast. I know you are always celebrating great retail. That's the headline.
That's the key. That's the key to all
Yeah,
of it. Well, we
right.
are coming into the end of our time here. You're still on your wild road trip through America, right? You're still going
I
till
am
when?
till at least spring of like meeting retailers. So the kind of this Southwest area for a while, and then I don't know, we're going to make our way back east again. I don't know. This is as much
Hopefully, in
about seeing America.
time for ice season in January. You want to make sure that you're here for that. That's always a good
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. No,
Maybe
no,
Toronto. I don't know.
no,
No.
no, no. I need to. You live outside. I live in an RV park. You live outside, so that weather plays a big part in the cities that we choose and when and what we do. And then from there, I can say, well, then who do I need to meet? What are the centers here? What's happening in the retail
Nice.
um, part of this city? But the weather is a big part of it.
Well, as you said that, I was thinking back to Black Friday, and I remember being at South Coast Plaza, and it was everybody in the mall was like, "What the hell happened to Black Friday? What the hell happened to Black Friday? Like, where is everybody?" And it was like, I don't know, let's say 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And finally, this guy comes in. And he's like, "It took me 3 hours to get in here. There's so many cars that they've locked it down." It was like, really, wow.
Yeah.
And people only had that choice. And so that's my last thought today for you to all be thinking about, following me, following Ron.
Hmm.
You have a choice. You can approach this and unlock the door and turn to your crew and go, "I hate effing Christmas music and damn customers. and you will live that reality. I guarantee
will.
you it comes right back to you. Or you say, wow, I wonder who I'm going to meet today. I wonder whose life I'm going to meet today. I wonder how I make this guy a hero. And some people say, oh, that's, Pollyanna, that's this positive. The thing is, all of our lives, there's always a choice, right?
Mhm.
You got a diagnosis you don't like. Oh, my life is over. Or, well, why don't I try something different? I think what retail typically teaches us is you're only good as your last transaction. And
Yeah.
if you worked on commission or jewelry or cars or anything else, you learned that that might have been one of my few chances to make money. I better study that and do better, which I think ultimately, when you look at CEOs of most companies, they go back to being grounded in retail and learning they had to make somebody else's day before they'd
Yeah.
make theirs. So, final thought from you, Ron, as we come into Thanksgiving.
Yeah, be proud of the work that you do in retail, and that everyone that's frustrated with you on the fact that you needed to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning this Friday and go to work. Think of which was me. Of like, no, I can't go shopping. I'm working all weekend, but I love it. I love this energy that comes from weekends like this. Be proud of the work that you do because it's important to the team, the people around you, the customer, the brand you work for. It's very important work. And don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. You're doing important work.
I love that. And
Yeah.
what's the name of your book again, Ron?
Yeah, it's the Retail Pride and Retail in America is the podcast, and most of it, most of my guests are people from stores, and
That's right.
because they have the real story to tell.
That's right. And in
Yeah.
fact, I'm featuring you in my gift guide going out next week. So there you go.
Amazing, thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks for joining us again. It all comes down to what are you going to put out in the world to have a great holiday? Are you going to go through and share stories about how it sucks to be you? You win. Or you say, I really love this job. I love what I'm doing, and then make your employees' day, and they're going to make your day in spades.
They
So thanks
they
for
will.
joining us today. Thanks, Ron. Happy travels wherever you are.
Thanks, everyone.
Next, and everybody have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Happy holidays.